Hello students! In this video, we are going to talk about how to process the collected data of our descriptive research. After the process of collecting data, it is always our question of what to do next. So if you are done with collecting your data, watch this video carefully for you to know the step-by-step procedures on what to do with the data that you have collected. Are you ready? Please keep watching. Firstly, we have to remember that this video works on data collected for quantitative descriptive research. So for those researchers which try to determine the relationship among variables and significant differences among variables will be discussed in a different video. First, we have to sign into our Google account and go to the Google form that we have created. Click Responses and then click the green icon that looks like a spreadsheet. Once the document is open, click File, choose Download, and then click Microsoft Excel. Wait for the file to download. After downloading the file, go to Microsoft Excel and open the file that you have downloaded. To protect the identity of my respondents, I hide columns B, D, and E. But I added another column and changed their names into codes or code names. I made use of numbers, so I have respondent 1 until respondent 182. Then rename sheet number 1 from form responses 1 into raw data. So before we start, let us go first to the statement of the problem. So this study aims to determine the performance of grade 12 students of Labugo National High School in research. Specifically, this study aims to answer the following. Number 1. What percentage of students get a certain score in their mastery test? Number 2. What is the mean score of respondents according to their section? Number 3. What percentage of students get an outstanding, very satisfactory, satisfactory, fairly satisfactory, and does not meet expectations in their academic performance? Number 4. What is the mean academic performance of students per section? Now that we are acquainted with the statement of the problem of this research, let us proceed with processing the data that we have collected. This research has 182 respondents. Respondent 1 has answers found in cell D2, while respondent 182 has answers found in cell D183. Start with encoding the different scores from 1 to 20 since there are 20 items. In the next column, we have F as the frequency. Then in the third, we have percent as the percentage. In Microsoft Excel or WPS, if we want to make calculations, we always start with an equal sign. To determine the frequency, we click Raw Data Sheet, highlight cell D2 until cell D183, from respondent 1 to respondent 182. However, our target is to count the number of respondents who get a score of 1, so we make use of the formula COUNTIF. As a result, the entire equation will be equal sign COUNTIF, open parenthesis, raw data D2 to D183, comma, 1, then close parenthesis. Click enter and you will have the frequency of respondents who get a score of 1. Let us repeat the process to determine the respondents who get a score of 2. If we repeat the process, it takes a long time. Can we not copy the equation from score 1 or 2 to the rest of the scores? See what happens if you merely copy and paste the equations from score 1 or 2 to the rest of the scores. Notice that instead of D2 to D183, it becomes D4 to D185. So we have to make some changes in the equation. Make sure that it will be D2 until D183 all throughout, and the number at the end will correspond to the score that you want to count. So our data range will not be changed. From D2 to D183, we have to place a $sign. Then click and drag the small square at the lower right corner to the last score that you want to count. Finally, change the number at the end before the closing parenthesis according to the score that you wish to count. Now, we are able to determine how many students got a certain score. It's time for us to check whether the frequencies from 1 to 20 will be equal to the total number of respondents. To determine the total, we make use of the formula equals sum, open parenthesis, then highlight from score 1 until score 20, then click enter. The result is 182, which is equal to our total number of respondents. It's time for us to check for the percentage of respondents who get a certain score in the mastery test. We will make use of the formula equal sign, then click C4 divided by C24, close parenthesis, asterisk 100. If you click and drag right away the small square at the lower part corner, look what happens. It is because the denominator changes. Instead of C24, it becomes C25, C26, C27, and so on. So we have to place a dollar sign before clicking the small box and dragging it below. The result has a lot of decimal numbers, so we decrease it up to 2 decimal places only. We can increase or decrease the number of decimal places using these icons above. To check if we get 100%, we make use of the formula equals sum, open parenthesis, highlight D4 to D24, then click enter. The result is 100%, thus our formula is correct. Then make some changes. Next, let us determine the average score of respondents according to their section. To get the average score per section, we will go back to sheet raw data and make use of columns, section, and their score. We will then use the formula average if. So the equation will be equal sign, average if, open parenthesis, highlight the column for section from respondent 1 to respondent 182, comma, open quotation mark, ABM, close quotation mark, comma, then highlight score from respondent 1 down to respondent 182. Close parenthesis, click enter. Before dragging the small square, make sure to have the dollar sign from G2 to G183. Then edit the sections enclosed in quotation marks according to the section that you want to count. Now that you have the results, decrease the number of decimal places. To compute for the mean score of the whole grade 12 students, we make use of the function equals average, then highlight from 12 ABM down to 12 TVL-ICT, then click enter. So the general score or mean score of all the grade 12 students is 14.52. Equation will be equal sign, count if, open parenthesis, raw data sheet from respondent 1 down to respondent 182, comma, open quotation mark, ABM, close quotation mark, then close parentheses. Again, do not forget to make use of the dollar sign so that your range will not be changed. Then edit also the section. Instead of ABM, change it to gas, to UM, sports, according to the section that you want to count. At the total of the sum of the frequencies, we make use of the equation equals sum, open parenthesis, then highlight from ABM down to TVL-ICT, then close parenthesis. If there is an error in your formula, this is what happens. To compute for the percentage of respondents in each section, we make use of equal sign. Click cell C4 for ABM, slash C10 for the total, close parenthesis, then asterisk, then 100. Compute for the sum of the percentages. It must be equal to 100%. Then decrease the number of decimal places. Make some adjustments and changes in the formatting of your data. Should you wish to determine the number of male, female, and other gender among your respondents, you do the following. Use the formula COUNTIF, then highlight the column for sex from respondent 1 down to respondent 182. Encode comma, then open quotation mark, the word female, then close quotation mark before encoding the close parentheses. If the criteria that you want to count is in words, just like male or female, you have to enclose it in quotation marks. But if it is just in number, just like in the score 1 to 20, there is no need for you to place it in quotation marks. Still, get the total to check if the number of male, female, and other gender is equal to the total number of respondents that you have. Next, compute for the percentages. Then, compute for the total percentage. It must be equal to 100. Then, decrease the number of decimal places. Make some changes and adjustments in the formatting so that you will not be confused. This time, let us work on the academic performance of the respondents. This portion is found in our statement of the problem, specifically question number 3. For the academic performance, we will be making use of columns respondent, section, and grade. Separate sheet which I labeled grade, I copied the columns for respondent and the grade of these respondents. Since our statement of the problem asked for students who got outstanding, very satisfactory, satisfactory, fairly satisfactory, and did not meet expectations, we will make the criteria at this side. So those grades 74 and below is equal to does not meet expectations, 75 to 79 are fairly satisfactory, 80 to 84 is satisfactory, 85 to 89 is very satisfactory, 90 to 100 is outstanding. In the column labeled remarks, we make use of the equation equal sign, VLOOKUP, open parenthesis, then highlight the column for grade from respondent 1 down to respondent 182, comma, then highlight the cells of our criteria there from 74 to outstanding, then comma, then put number 3, close parentheses. See, each grade of our respondents has a corresponding remark. With this, we can now count for the number of respondents who got outstanding, very satisfactory, satisfactory, fairly satisfactory, and does not meet expectations. The frequency, we make use of the formula COUNTIF. Compute for the total to check if the number of respondents equal to 182. Then compute for the percentage. Compute also for the total percentage, and it should be equal to 100%. To compute for the average academic performance of all the grade 12 respondents, we make use of the formula equals average, then highlight from respondent 1 down to respondent 182. Click enter. Decreasing the number of decimal points into 2 decimal places, the average academic performance of all the grade 12 students is equal to 83.39. For statement of the problem number 4, we have to determine the academic performance of students per section. So this is how we do it. Earlier, I forgot to copy the sections of the respondents, so this time I have to do it. Highlight the column for section from respondent 1 down to respondent 182. Then paste it to the sheet labeled grade. Then make sure that respondent 1 to respondent 2 really coincides with their certain section. Because our target is to compute for the average academic performance of students in each section, we will make use of the formula equals average if. So for ABM, the equation will be equals average if, open parenthesis, then highlight the column for the section, comma, open quotation mark, ABM, close quotation mark, comma, then highlight the column for the grade. Click close parenthesis. For GAS, UM, Sports, TVL-HE, and TVL-ICT, just edit the section enclosed in the quotation marks. Because we computed for the average, we will not be talking about the total. Instead, we will look for the general mean average, which should be equal to 83.39. The formula will simply be equals average, then highlight the average of ABM down to TVL-ICT. Comparing the values we have computed earlier and the values in this table, the results are both equal to 83.89, which means that our formula and computation is correct. Okay, are you ready to apply what you have learned in this video to your own research data? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so other students will also learn. Bye-bye!